Jake Thompson loved to run. Jake Thompson loved to run. The feel of the wind against his face, the rhythmic thud of his sneakers on the pavement, and the rush of adrenaline made every stride exhilarating. But Jake was small for his age, shorter and leaner than most of his peers, and that made him a target for teasing. While other boys towered over him, he often felt like he was running against the tide, not just in the literal sense, but in life. "Hey, Speedy," some would call, their laughter echoing in the hallways as he passed by. "Don't trip over your own feet." Others would mimic his running style, flailing their arms and pretending to struggle. Jake tried to laugh it off, but each comment dug deeper, leaving him feeling small in more ways than one. Despite the jabs, Jake's passion for running remained unshaken. Every afternoon after school, he would head to the local park, where he could escape the taunts and lose himself in the rhythm of his feet pounding the pavement. He would set little goals for himself, like running an extra mile or beating his personal best time. Slowly, he began to believe that he could achieve something great, even if he was smaller than most. As summer turned to fall, the buzz around the annual community marathon grew louder. It was the event of the year, drawing participants of all ages and abilities. Jake had watched the marathon for as long as he could remember, standing on the sidelines with his father, cheering for the runners who seemed to glide effortlessly over the finish line. This year, however, Jake felt something different stirring within him. Maybe it was time to join the ranks of those runners. With newfound determination, Jake signed up for the marathon. The weeks leading up to the race were filled with early mornings and late afternoons spent training. He studied running techniques, crafted a training schedule, and even recruited his best friend, Max, to help him. Max was taller and more athletic, and though he was supportive, Jake sometimes felt the shadow of comparison creeping in. "Why are you putting yourself through this?" Max asked one day after they finished a long run. "You know you might not win, right? Everyone's a lot bigger and faster." "I'm not doing it to win, Max," Jake replied, breathless but resolute. "I just want to finish. I want to show everyone that size doesn't matter. I want to prove to myself that I can do it." Max nodded, a serious look on his face. "All right, I'll help you train. But just remember to take care of yourself." Jake took Max's advice to heart. He focused not just on running but on nutrition and rest. He learned about the importance of hydration and stretching, incorporating these practices into his daily routine. The teasing continued at school, but Jake began to internalize a new mantra. It's not about being the biggest, it's about having the biggest heart. Race day arrived, and the atmosphere was electric. Runners of all ages gathered at the starting line, stretching and warming up, their excitement palpable. Jake stood amidst the crowd, feeling a mix of nerves and exhilaration. He wore his favorite running shirt, a bright blue number that felt like a second skin, along with a bib that read, "Number 103. He took a deep breath, grounding himself in the moment. "Hey, look who it is," a voice called out. Jake turned to see a group of his classmates, their faces lit up with smirks. Jake, the snack-sized speedster, is ready to lose. He felt a rush of embarrassment but reminded himself of his goal. Instead of retaliating, he simply smiled and took his position at the start line. The air was filled with the sound of the starter's pistol, and they were off. Jake found his rhythm quickly, the pounding of his feet syncing with his heartbeat. The course wound through the park, past trees bursting with autumn colors and through cheering crowds. He felt alive, the teasing voices fading into the background as he focused on the path ahead. As the miles clicked by, Jake's legs began to tire. He saw bigger runners passing him, their strides long and powerful, but he refused to let doubt seep in. Instead, he thought of the countless hours he had put into training, the mornings spent pushing himself just a little bit harder, and the support of Max cheering him on in spirit. The halfway mark came, and Jake felt a wave of fatigue wash over him. He paused briefly to drink some water, his heart racing and his breath heavy. Doubt crept in. Would he be able to finish? But as he looked around at the other runners, some struggling, some smiling, he felt a sense of camaraderie that reignited his spirit. "Come on, Jake," he whispered to himself, pushing off again with renewed vigor. Every step became a testament to his determination, the whispers of his classmates morphing into a distant memory. He was running for himself now, not for anyone else's approval. As the final stretch approached, Jake spotted the finish line in the distance. His legs were aching, but the sight of the banner fluttering in the wind ignited a fire within him. He could see runners ahead of him crossing the line, their faces filled with joy and relief. He picked up his pace, digging deep into his reserves. With the finish line drawing closer, Jake's heart soared. He wouldn't be among the first to finish, but that no longer mattered. He could see his dad in the crowd, waving enthusiastically, and his heart swelled with pride. Jake crossed the finish line, breathless and exhilarated. The clock showed a time that was far from a winning record, but in that moment, it felt like a personal victory. He had done it. He had faced the challenge head-on and conquered it. As he slowed to a walk, Jake felt a rush of emotion. Tears pricked at his eyes as the reality of what he had accomplished settled in. He was met with cheers not just from the crowd but from his classmates, who, after seeing his determination, had come to respect him in a way they never had before. "Nice job, Jake," one of them called out, and others chimed in with encouragement. The teasing that had once hurt him now seemed trivial, eclipsed by a new understanding. He had shown them, and himself, that dedication and hard work were what truly mattered. Jake's father rushed over, pride beaming from his face. "You did it, buddy. I knew you could. I finished, Dad. I actually finished," Jake exclaimed, feeling a sense of elation wash over him. The marathon had been more than a race, it had been a journey of self-discovery. Later that day, at the awards ceremony, Jake stood among the crowd, still buzzing with excitement. He didn't earn a medal, but as he listened to stories of perseverance and grit from the other runners, he realized that every story shared was a reminder of the strength that resided within each person, regardless of size. As the announcer called out names for special recognitions, Jake found himself filled with hope. He didn't need a trophy to validate his efforts, he already felt like a champion. When they announced the Spirit of the Marathon award, he was taken by surprise. The crowd erupted in applause as he walked up to accept it, a wave of joy washing over him. In that moment, Jake understood that running was not merely about crossing the finish line first. It was about the journey, the struggles faced, and the resilience cultivated along the way. He had fought through the doubts, the teasing, and had come out stronger on the other side. As he held the award high, Jake knew he had proven something not just to others but to himself. His heart swelled with pride. Size might have mattered to some, but to Jake, it was his determination that truly defined him. And so, with a new fire ignited within, Jake vowed to continue running, not just for the accolades, but for the love of the sport and the lessons it taught him about hard work, perseverance, and the beauty of every single mile.